In 1984, Irish singer-songwriter and frontman for the Boomtown Rats, Bob Geldof, brought together some of the biggest British and Irish musicians to record a charity single that was released just in time for the holidays. Do They Know It's Christmas by Band-Aid was released to raise money to aid Ethiopia, who was experiencing a major famine. In a year, the single raised £8 million, approximately £32 million or $41 million US dollars in 2024 value. Quote, I think what's happening in Africa is a crime of historic proportions. You walk into one of the corrugated iron huts and you see meningitis and malaria and typhoid buzzing around in the air. And you see dead bodies lying side by side with the live ones. In some of the camps, you see 15 bags of flour for 27,500 people. And it's that we're here for, said Geldof. The Great European Act of Musical Charity directly inspired the U.S., or rather, it directly inspired Harry Belafonte, who reached out to one of the biggest managers in entertainment, Ken Cragen, to help him put something together. Thus began the world's longest Ocean's 11-like sequence of recruiting more and more musicians, and for some reason, Dan Aykroyd too, to put together a song to save the world. Cragen enlisted his clients, Lionel Richie and Kenny, who recruited Stevie Wonder and legendary producer Quincy Jones. Jones brought Michael Jackson on board, and the core writing and production team was brought together for USA for Africa. Richie and Jackson spent a week putting together the lyrics for the track in Jackson's home. Quote, I'd go into the room while they were writing, and it would be very quiet, which is odd since Michael's usually very cheery when he works. It was very emotional for them, said Jackson's sister, LaToya Jackson. The demo was put together and a night was set for the recording, the same night as the American Music Awards, an event that would ensure all the musicians would already be in town. Recording began at around 10:30 p.m. at January 28th and finished at around 8 a.m. on January 29th. The single swiftly hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 charts, as well as number 1 in Australia, France, Ireland, New Zealand, the Netherlands, Norway, Sweden, Switzerland, and the UK. The Grammy Awards saw this track earn 4 awards: Record of the Year, Song of the Year, Best Pop Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocals, and Best Music Video Short Form. The American Music Awards gave it Song of the Year, the MTV Music Awards gave the song Best Group Video and Viewer's Choice, and the charity single even won the Favorite New Song Award at the People's Choice Awards. But did the song work as an act of charity? To date, the single has generated $160 million US dollars, but did that money actually do anything? According to Ethiopian Elias Kifl Mariam Bayene, it did a lot. Quote, I won't ever forget Michael Jackson because his contribution to the song We Are the World had a very significant effect on my life. I'm 50 now, but 25 years ago I was living in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, which at the time was suffering from a long drought and famine. It was a terrible situation. Lots of people became sick and many more died. Around 1 million people in all were killed by the famine. In 1984, Michael Jackson, along with a number of other leading musicians, made this song to raise money for Africa. We received a lot of aid from the world, and I was one of those who directly benefited from it. The wheat flour that was distributed to the famine victims was different to the usual cereal we bought at the market. We baked a special bread from it. The local people named the bread after the great artist, and it became known as Michael bread. It was soft and delicious. When you have been through such hard times, you never forget events like this. If you speak to anyone who was in Addis Ababa at the time, they will all know what Michael bread is, and I know I will remember it for the rest of my life, said Bayene. Personally, I would have called it Aykroyd bread. That's right, we're talking USA for Africa's We Are the World on Cover Me. That's right, it's Cover Me, the only podcast that compares famous songs to their many cover versions to find out which one is the children. I'm your host, as always, The Snake, joined by my choice co-host,
Alex Mildenberger.
Alex Mildenberger, what's going on?
What's going on? I'm just wondering why Dan Aykroyd keeps coming up. He didn't seem to actually contribute that much.
He's just on the chorus.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But, yeah, anyway, it's not that big a deal. But he was there. That's cool.
They made a Ghostbusters joke during recording.
That's good. That's
good. That's something.
Wait, so Ghostbusters would have been pretty recent at the time?
It must be. I forgot to look up 1984, so, hot off the press.
Yeah, okay. So he's like...
This is peak Aykroyd.
This is peak Aykroyd. He does not get higher than this.
Yeah, I've heard it said that it was because he was in the Blues Brothers as a fictional band that he was kind of brought on.
Anyway,
I realize I went to the Aykroyd well twice in that intro. Yeah, we're going to talk about all of this. I don't want to focus too much on all the minutiae because we are going to talk about The Greatest Night in Pop, the documentary.
Yeah.
Us in a couple hours. You, the listener, next week. Tune in. But here we are now in the present day talking about We Are the World. first thing I was shocked to learn about this song, not actually by Bob Geldof.
Yeah, I thought he was more involved. He was there apparently, but like
He was, yeah.
and like inspired it because he was the like Band-Aid guy.
Mm-hmm. And also features on the chorus, so he's the only non-American singer on this track.
Oh yeah, because they really did focus. I guess it's USA for Africa.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I mean, then there's so many people in the chorus. It's not like you can hear him singing.
Yeah, you don't pick it out.
I'm like, damn, that guy sounds like he doesn't like Mondays. Wow.
Wow.
How does he do it?
But yeah, he is the inspiration for this. It's sort of weird how the root of this song goes. It goes from Band-Aid to Harry Belafonte to wherein it really becomes like the Michael Jackson, Lionel Richie
Oh my
project.
gosh. Sorry, I'm doing some research.
Mm-hmm.
Some
This is the time
journalism.
to do it. Yeah.
This was recorded January 28th, 1985,
That's correct.
a Monday.
Shit.
So that's probably why you can't even hear him. He wasn't on top of his game.
But it
I know
also
that's not what the song's about.
it also depends on how like jet lagged he was, right?
True, it was his Tuesday.
Yeah, so it might have been just the perfect moment for him.
That's true. It might have been coming out of his slump. Anyway, sorry.
That's true. Yeah. The I Don't Like Mondays, not an autobiographical song of Bob Geldof's personal opinion on weekdays, nor is it the theme song for like a Garfield TV show.
No, not yet, anyway.
In fact, it's a different tragedy, but we're not here to talk about that tragedy. We're talking about the Ethiopian famine, which doesn't have a name beyond like Ethiopia famine 1983 to 1985 or something like that.
Right. Which, yeah, do we name famines normally? I guess like Great Famine.
Great Depression was partially famine, yeah. I guess. The potato famine.
Which I don't know if we call it that anymore, but yeah.
Do we not? I thought it was strictly because there was a lack of potatoes. Is that not the? It's called the Great Irish Famine.
Yeah.
Also known as the Great Hunger.
Yeah, I've heard different names for it.
The famine and the Irish potato famine. Okay.
Anyway. So we do name famines. That's fair.
We do name famines. So yeah, even if it was just called the Ethiopian famine or like the fucking, they could have called it the We Are the World famine, but then people might blame the song.
Yeah, I'm curious. I mean, obviously this song was a big like awareness thing as well as obviously, you know, putting money towards this. And it was cool. All the people who are involved, Harry Belafonte and such.
That's the only guy I can name.
It's the only guy I can name. But I mean, like, and obviously all the other artists, but like he's the one I kind of didn't know about. Some of the other ones are more obvious there because they're like on the track, you know?
They're on the track. Yeah, Harry Belafonte just in the chorus, but yeah, he's the guy who got this moving.
And I'm curious, like, how much awareness was there before this? Like, is this the reason that my parents used to say there are children starving in Africa, so finish your food?
So finish your food.
Did it come from this? I don't know.
If not that, it certainly like urged people to take action. I don't want to refer to the documentary too much, but there's like some footage they use early on of just like a news report where the guy's like, and there's too much news these days. And like, it's like people in the 80s had information overload.
True. It was like the start of 24-hour news, as I understand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like people just felt powerless. So they were inundated by this stuff and were like, well, I can't really do anything about that. And that's where some of the lyrics coming in where it's like, well, we got to do something. It's up to you guys. We got to fucking help the people in Africa.
Yeah.
So if it didn't like originate this charitable movement, it certainly like gave it a pretty big spotlight.
Right. It was like a big part of why we remember all that stuff probably. I'm curious though, like how well did you know this song going in?
Not as well as I thought I did.
Yeah.
I knew of it. It's a big popular culture moment. And I think in my mind, it's always been this kind of corny ass bit of like, oh, music can save the world, bit of hippy dippy shit. And it is to some extent, but it also did make like progress. It literally helped the famine. Like that fucking random Ethiopian guy pulled from, I think, Michael Jackson's funeral.
Right.
Like it
Michael
helped
bread.
People. Yeah, Michael bread.
Which
Billy Joel bread.
Billy bread.
Billy, give me some of that Billy
bread. Bread Joel.
But yeah, I didn't even know that when I put together a playlist this week, I was like, the song's 7 fucking minutes. Like,
yeah, it's a lot. But I mean, they have so many people to get through, you know?
Yeah, a ton of, and they don't even like they get like 10 musicians, maybe closer to 15 in like solo parts.
Right. I'm actually kind of amazed. Some of them, like, I love Springsteen, but they use him a lot.
I know.
They've got
I was
so
like,
many people they could have used.
It was shocking, and I was like, in my head, I'm like, yeah, I know Bruce Springsteen's huge, but I always forget that he's like actual huge too.
Right. And I think at the time was when he was really breaking out, because that was like Born in the USA. Like, that was like when it came out.
Exactly. So he was like a hot item to have on there, and they really, they make him work for it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
How well did you know this song, Alex?
Basically not at all. Like, I was aware of it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I had seen some of the footage of them recording it in the past. But I really didn't know the song at all. And I didn't know, I mean, all the backstory of like, well, Michael Jackson mostly wrote it and Lionel Richie also with him and stuff like that. Didn't know about any of that stuff, and I don't know that I've ever listened to this song before, like now.
I don't know if I've ever listened to it the whole way through. If somebody had said the chorus to me, I would know the chorus
right
prior to this week. But yeah, because you know what, my sister, for some reason, Ruby, who's been on the podcast before, shout out Ruby, would always sing the line, "It's a choice we're making." And so that line came on, I was like, oh, I fucking know this line. And it's very strange that I just know that.
Yeah, funny those, how that happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Those like random little references that you don't actually know that they're a reference or don't know what they're from for years and years, and then you're like, oh. It's also kind of like watching This Is Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, that's where that reference came from. That's where that joke came from.
Oh my God, yeah. Watching classic films of any kind, comedy especially, and like hearing these lines, you're like, that's the fucking thing.
Even I watched two things with my girlfriend recently. The Office and The Princess Bride, and she had seen The Princess Bride before. Right. And there's like the whole marriage thing. She was like, oh, that gets referenced in The Office. Oh, yeah.
Woof, twoo.
Yeah, twoo, yeah.
Legendary.
Exactly. So it's that kind of thing.
Where you're like, I didn't even know, like, that was a reference to this other thing. I just thought this was its own funny thing. Life's crazy like that. This song, though, also crazy. Let's talk about these lyrics, man. Let's talk about them.
There's a lot of repetition in here, but there's some verses too.
There are some verses, and it opens with, "There comes a time when we heed a certain call, when the world must come together as one. There are people dying. Oh, and it's time to lend a hand to life, the greatest gift of all."
Greatest gift of all.
The greatest gift of all.
Yeah, I mean, the song really like wears its heart on its sleeve, you know?
Yeah. I think another reason it gets like, because like the 80s in general are called like cheesy and looked back on sort of derisively for that reason.
And it's very earnest.
Yeah, this one is as earnest gets.
But it's interesting, I mean, looking back at it, because this is a time when like this idea of like a global community was, I mean, obviously it had been emerging across the century, but now at this point we have these pop stars who are sort of coming into maybe a lot of wealth themselves, and also there's more awareness of issues around the globe, and more are starting to maybe ask what they can do about it.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, obviously there was more awareness before as well, you know, even going back to like, I'm going to say like John Lennon.
Right.
Although I'm trying to think of what he would have done that would have been similar to this.
He did stay in a bed all day.
Yeah,
once.
but it's like activism, right?
Yeah. It's, like, Imagine is kind of like thematically similar to this song. I don't think it was made as a charity single, but it has some of the same spirit.
Yeah. Or I guess it's more like war stuff, like Merry Christmas, Wars, all that.
Yeah, that's another one from him. That's kind of along these lines too. It's interesting that like Yeah, that and like, do they know it's Christmas? Really focus on the Christmas of it all.
Yeah, the Christmas really was a big. I mean, they're both British too. I wonder. Interesting. Yeah, maybe we'll talk about Band-Aid one day.
Yeah, I thought this was Band.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe we will. Like you said, this wears its heart on its sleeve. It's it's a call to the people because it's literally a charity single telling people to buy the charity single.
It's meta, bro.
It's fucking meta.
But yeah,
it's real heady shit.
Like, hey, we are called as people, fortunate people, to assist less fortunate people, and it's very explicit. There are people dying, and we need to lend a hand to life. Like,
yeah, it's less cruel. Twist the knife a little less than do they know it's Christmas time? Which says, what's the line? It's like, tonight, thank God it's them instead of you.
Oh my gosh. And also, I mean, to maybe a lot of people who are like, who cares that it's Christmas? Like, it doesn't matter to us.
Yeah, it takes away, it's like you don't have to be Christian to understand there are people dying. And it's time to lend a hand to life, the greatest gift of all. Yeah.
So I think they definitely tried to be they were more careful about, I think, how they worded things.
Mm-hmm. That'll come up in the next verse? No, or in the chorus.
Right.
But yeah, they're very careful. It's a very like crafted plea. It took Lionel Richie and Michael Jackson a week.
Yeah.
My understanding is that Lionel Richie was under constant attack by the random animals in Michael Jackson's house.
Yeah. And he's got a snake.
It's unreal. He had a snake. I had no idea. He's like, and he wants me to pet the monkey. I don't want to pet the fucking monkey. Yeah. More on that later, though. Yeah. So it's a call to action. People are dying. Brackets in Ethiopia specifically.
Yeah, specifically. Do we want to talk about who's on the verse at this point?
Should we? It's tough because we're gonna have to do that. I think it might be better to do that when we're talking about the music because the instrumental backing track on this is so sparse.
Yeah,
that the real juice does come from who is singing which line and getting sort of the quality of their voice.
Right. Okay.
So we might get more of it there. Plus, now people can wait in suspense a little bit.
Wait in suspense, yeah.
So, who opens the track? I don't fucking know.
Anybody.
But we come to verse 2. We can't go on pretending day by day that someone somewhere will soon make a change. We are all a part of God's great big family, and the truth, love is all we need. Little Beatles reference? A Beatles reference?
Love is all we need. I mean, it's such a common song in pop music.
Mm-hmm. And also, did Michael Jackson own the rights to the Beatles at this time? Is that correct?
I don't know, actually.
Did Michael Jackson own Paul McCartney?
Yeah. I don't remember.
Yeah, I forget what the musical rights history is.
Pretty popular at this point, so.
Yeah. This is post-Thriller is where we're at in his career, like just. So they're saying you need to make the change. Here's why. You can't pretend that somebody else is going to do it. They do make a religious call here, though, although a sort of loose one. We're all part of God's great big family.
Yes, and there's going to be a couple of those, like, presumed universality of... I mean, we assume Christianity, but they do just say God generally.
Yeah, it's... how many religions specifically have God as the guy? You got monotheism, you got pantheism, you got stuff where there isn't really a God.
True.
So it feels very, and probably because it's written in English too, like it feels very Christian.
True. And I think that is the intention. But yeah, that's where we dip into that a little bit. But also, like, it doesn't do all that much. It's just kind of like vague Christian themes of like, we're all a big happy family. And once again, heart on sleeve, right? Like everyone in the world, we all just need to love each other and get along. And it's like, sure.
It does seem to counterbalance the God's great big family with a very like a Beatles line, like kind of hippie culture. Love is all we need.
Interesting. So that it's like kind of like religious and then.
Yeah, and if you don't like that, here's this. Like it's like, okay, Like nobody who, in theory, is a Christian is going to object to love is all we need. So that's why you put that at the end.
Right.
But like people might object to God's great big family, so you tuck that in a little bit more in the center.
Yeah, I mean the idea of truth being revealed by a God is also a pretty common one.
Absolutely. So that's verse 2. We get to the chorus, which is played a lot. We are the world, we are the children, we are the ones who make a brighter day, so let's start giving. There's a choice we're making, we're saving our own lives. It's true, we'll make a better day, just you and me.
And me.
It drives me insane that it's not just you and I.
Why is that?
Because it like half rhymes with lives. So
I see.
To me, I lose my shit.
Because it doesn't rhyme. You and me.
But in the documentary, there's actually a scene where Michael Jackson's like, should I say you and I, you and me? And then I think Quincy Jones is like, you and me sounds more soulful. And he's like, yeah, I think so too.
Oh, I remember that, yeah.
So that's why that's there.
I also think it's more grammatically correct to say you and me.
Is it?
Yeah, because if you say it's true, I'll make a better day, just me.
Okay,
right?
Yeah.
If you
I think you're right. Taking that, I kind of took it the other way where I was like, you wouldn't say me make a better day.
Me make a better day.
But you're right.
Me make a better day.
Me make a better day.
Oh, that'll come up again later.
Yes, it will. You're right, though, because the just you and me is like its own kind of sentence. It's yeah. So you are correct. That is grammatically correct.
Anyway, not that matters in a song really, but
overly, but like at least there is some basis for it.
Yeah.
So the big line on this one that they changed, talking about sensitivity, is that there's a choice we're making. We're saving our own lives.
Right.
It was originally there's a chance we're taking. We're taking our own lives.
What?
Yeah, it was originally we're taking our. You can hear it in the documentary too.
Yeah, okay.
Which yeah, your reaction is the correct reaction.
Yeah, sound like they're talking about suicide.
Yeah.
Glad they didn't keep that one in.
It's insane. They said it sounded too much like suicide, and so they kind of removed that. They're like, we can't. There's no way we can use this.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean that's the verse or the chorus, and it plays a lot with different configurations.
Yeah, and it's this call to oneness, which is again both like religious and hippy dippy. We are the world, we are the children, and then we're the ones who make a brighter day. So let's start giving, and then referring to our own lives. There's like some critics who are like talking about the musicians saving themselves from guilt with this charity single, but it's supposed to be like the lives of the Ethiopians are also our lives because we're all one.
Because we're all humans, right?
Yeah,
like, we're saving ourselves because we're all the same.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
I can dig that.
And it's true. We'll make a better day. Just you and me. Help people.
There's that truth again.
Mm-hmm. The truth, love is always need. True. We'll make a better day. Through love.
They're not that related, but it does say true twice.
It does say true twice. That, Alex, is true.
Oh, what?
Verse 3, well, send them your heart so they'll know that someone cares, and their lives will be stronger and free, as God has shown us by turning stone to bread, and so we all must lend a helping hand.
Yeah, that's more explicit Bible reference than the last one.
And that is coming from Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
So he's a bit of your outlaw country.
Right.
What somebody pointed out on Songfacts is that God, or rather Jesus, specifically did not turn stone to bread. The devil, during this time of Passover that we find ourselves in, the 40 days in the desert, the devil tells Jesus, he's like, just turn some rocks into bread if you're hungry. And Jesus says no.
Isn't it a reference to the Old Testament when God turns, I think, rocks into bread for the Hebrews in the desert?
Does he do that? Does God turn rocks to bread?
I don't remember if it's rocks, but it's manna. He's given...
Right.
Yeah.
Where in the Bible does God... Okay, hang on. So Fun Trivia from 2009 says, while stone is not turned to bread, give God for bringing bread from the earth. Right. So God does bring bread from the earth.
They like find the bread like laying around.
So he like buried... It was geocaching.
Yeah, exactly.
Loaves of bread.
Yeah, post-Exodus.
Post-Exodus. Okay, so that's... Thanks, Fun Trivia, for...
Yeah, I thought maybe that's what I thought it was.
You thought it was that? Yeah, and to me, like, before Songfacts brought it up, I was just, it was fun, stones of bread, like the fish and the bread, yeah, whatever.
Looks, yeah.
God makes food a lot, so, like, it didn't faze me.
But I mean, thematically as well, it's like it's all a little bit of a savior complex, right? Because they're like, we're gonna be like God.
We'll be like God to these Ethiopians.
But at the
bring in the Michael bread.
Give them Michael bread from Michael instead of bread from stone.
The body of Michael.
But at the same time, isn't like part of religion to strive to be more like God?
Yeah.
So it's like kind of like that. But it also, you're literally providing food, so it's like.
Yeah, and like we can be the miracle for these people, right? Like we can do something miraculous here. Give bread where there is no bread. Like that's something good. But same thing as the other verses. Help these people. It's all like every single piece of the song is like help the people in Africa. Help the people in Africa.
Yeah,
Why
it's
don't
very.
I mean,
obviously, and also starting with like send them your heart. So like we're talking about love again, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that they know and like. Give them hope, I guess, is probably at least implied, right? So then, like, they can live in a world where they feel like someone's caring about them.
Yeah, so that they can live.
Yeah, and then provide. I mean, the song never says it's focused on like send them love. They're starving. Send them food. You know, they're alone. Send them love. They're starving. Send them food. Obviously, the thing they want ultimately is money, but then the money turns into this stuff. So
yeah, you never hear that in the song or in any of the like promotional material, even for the 2010 version of this. They're never just like there's a like because the 2010 version, send them your money, write a fucking check. But there's a point in I think it's in the 2010 one where Jamie Foxx is like reach deep down into, and you're like, is he gonna say wallet? Into your heart. Oh, okay, yeah. Is that it for like original? Oh wait, when you're down and out. Yeah, the bridge. I forgot about this. When you're down and out and there seems no hope at all, but if you just believe there's no way we can fall, well, let us realize that a change can only come when we stand together as one. Yeah. So they're saying even if you're bummed about the situation in Ethiopia or maybe about, your own life, we can come together to change this thing, and then you can feel good too.
Right, because we're working together. And I'm curious if it was intended as like when a person, in the West, in America or whatever, is feeling down about things in the world. We can all just come together. We can work together. It's okay. Or if it's like you, a person starving in Ethiopia,
right.
You're feeling down.
There is a line from Bob Geldof from the documentary where he's talking to Stevie Wonder about one of the changes Stevie Wonder wants to put in. Right. And he's like, the song is more addressing the people who can help than it is addressing the people starving.
Right.
So it might be, but it is kind of weird to be like, hey, champ, living in,
when you say down and out, it just seems like, I don't know.
Yeah, it seems odd to address those people. The people who can theoretically help.
Yeah. So.
But, yeah.
Probably. So no, I think it makes more sense to address, people in America or whatever. It's USA for Africa, right?
Because they are, again, still calling for them to stand together as one at the end of that verse.
Yes. But yeah, it's very like, it's got the earnest, like, we just need to believe and work together kind of thing. It's very much that like pure
exactly. I was gonna say Hands Across America, but that's after this. And that is, I think, still USA for Africa doing that. But yeah, like join together to make a difference. That's all the lyrics in this song. That's after this, it's just the chorus like 1,000 times.
Yeah, like a lot with various artists, and then they do a couple things with it. We can talk about that.
Yeah. There's various ad libs. But that's what the words are. What do they sound like? They sound like 47 different musicians.
Yeah, so many. But at different times.
At different times, yeah, not always at the same time. 46 musicians and Dan Aykroyd.
I guess like musically. It sounds very, it's very 80s, right? Like it is of its time in a lot of ways. And sonically, it's not timeless, No,
because like the synth choices they make, particularly with that like brass,
Yes.
are so like
What
80s edutainment.
And then like you get that like sparkling synth arpeggio and very 80s and these like low bells and brass synths. And it does have a very like triumphant sound, but it also kind of sounds like the intro splash of like a VHS tape, like
yes,
before you
like
watch an informational video from the 90s.
Yeah, you see the production company name come up. It sounds like that. It's very interesting because Lionel Richie and Michael Jackson, in order to get like the music for this, listened to a bunch of national anthems.
Yeah, I believe that.
They're like, we need to figure out, like, we want this to be anthemic. People. We got to rally people, and they wanted it to be a global anthem. And the one that he implies really inspired them is the fucking, oh my God. I wrote this down in my notes for the other. No, it's not the US. It's a British one, but it's not God Save the Queen. It's the other kind of anthem.
What is that?
It's, I think it's dun 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 dun.
Is that?
And the name of that anthem.
That's an anthem? That's not just
is Rule Britannia.
Oh, Rule Britannia, right. When Rule Britannia is out of bounds.
Is out of bounds to David Bowie, but not to Lionel Richie and Michael Jackson, who were musically inspired by it. But, so you got some of this anthemic elements, literally pulled from national anthems. You got the cheap synth set up here, or at least a very dated synth.
Oh, yeah. But not at the time.
Yeah. And it's an interesting choice that they don't bring in, like, big name instrumentalists. They do bring in like a solid. It's the team from Thriller, basically. They bring in to do the instruments on this.
I feel like that's probably a good idea, especially because, they needed it to happen now. So you got to get like your best studio musicians in, like lay it down, just play it, and like it's good.
Yeah,
you don't have to worry about it.
Don't have to worry about it. So yeah, it's like it's pretty solid. It's pretty simple. And it really just set the groundwork for all these musicians to do their thing.
Yeah.
And what is that thing? It's singing, baby.
It's singing. I think there's an EP on here too, but it's all very like keys synthy.
Yeah, keys synthy. We get like a
pop of the time. Like I would expect this sounds like a Lionel Richie song or maybe a Michael Jackson song,
Yeah, it definitely sounds very Lionel Richie. It does make me think of this song we talked about of his.
All Night Long?
All Night Long. I knew Night was in there somewhere. But yeah, and like cuz you even get like on the chorus a kind of like vibraphone, like xylophone kind of sound as well, but synthetic.
Marimba. I always say
marimba
because it feels more general. Like you could do high stuff and low stuff, and like arpeggios.
Hell yeah, I call it a marimba then. But so verse 1 is we're nonstop with the talent right from the start here. You got Lionel Richie, Paul Simon, Stevie Wonder, Kenny Rogers, the Gambler
himself. Yeah, Paul Simon, no Garfunkel.
No Garfunkel.
I don't know that they could be in the same room at that time. But
that's very possible.
And Stevie Wonder, of course, who was supposed to be more involved, but he's in quite a bit of the track.
He was supposed to write, but he was like busy on a movie soundtrack or something.
Yeah, I feel like they could not stop it. Like, I gotta say this for talking about the movie.
Hey, if it comes up naturally, it comes up naturally.
True. I mean, like, just seeing him in the studio, I don't think they could have stopped him from singing as much as he did. Like, he was like in it,
Yeah, he was definitely like in his element.
He was like, "Oh, we're recording? Cool. I'm gonna be there all the time." And there's stories around that too.
They even talk about him showing up when he thought they were gonna write the song. They're like, "The song's already done." He's like, "Fuck, all right, well I'm in." Like, get me on the demo. And they were just like recording the demo, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll do that." So you can't stop Stevie Wonder from making music.
Nope.
Or singing songs. So yeah, we open with Lionel Richie. There comes a time we heed a certain call. It goes to Paul Simon, like is on the track.
Yeah, he's there. It's like right at the beginning too. So he like kind of ducks out after that. I mean, same with a lot of them. Like Kenny Rogers, like he doesn't do a whole lot else.
Yeah.
Billy Joel later on, like
Billy Joel, yeah, verse 2, and he's following up Tina Turner, who has like a much more iconic sounding voice.
Yeah.
like a much more turned on vocal performance. Yeah, so there
I'm
are
much
like
more turned on by Billy Joel, unfortunately. No.
yeah.
That's just me.
That's just But yeah, you get performances in here that range from being present, like Paul Simon, you watch him in the video, he's a professional. He steps in, he says his line, he steps back. But it's not knocking your socks off. So you get the first verse, you get the second verse.
Well, the other interesting thing about that, real quick, I mean, he's got a softer voice. They put him on the start of the track.
Right.
And then they sort of build throughout, right? So,
yeah, that's right.
As you would do. So you got to put him on the start so that he can do his thing.
Yeah, they had like a choir director listening to all these people's tracks and like setting them up together very deliberately.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he's picked out your soft boys to start out the first verse. And then he does specifically say on verse 2, he's like, Tina Turner's a little low. Like, she's got a more bassy like range. So that's the verse 2 is for more low singing people.
Okay.
That's kind of a bit of what's going on there. Yeah. So you get that, and your instruments are backing you up. Some very simple, like just a clack on the drums, like a wood block.
Yeah, it's very simple, right? And it's kind of like that click sound from I think the Ring, or maybe or probably and amongst other things. But yeah,
I will say this though, Billy Joel sounded pretty good on this track. I'm just listening to his part now.
Yeah, I mean
Sounds
they
like
all
Billy
do.
Joel.
I'm curious.
Yeah.
How much pitch correction was available in 1985? I'm told some. But there was no auto-tune or anything.
No, and everybody is on high alert because they're around fucking 45 other musicians and Dan Aykroyd.
They're all trying to do their best.
So from there, after the first 2 verses, we get the chorus, which is predominantly Michael Jackson.
Mm-hmm. As well as
singing
Diana Ross.
Exactly like Michael Jackson.
Yeah. He sounds like Michael Jackson.
Yeah. And you got that marimba. Do-do-do, do-do-do.
Oh, the marimba's going, yeah. That's the melody. Right there, right? It's part of what they were talking. They do talk about this. Don't want to talk about that too much.
Gotta save some of that heat. Right.
It's fairly simple, but it's hummable enough.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's easy enough for anyone to sing along to. And then you got this. Diana Ross brings the heat on this chorus. So Michael Jackson gives us some of that tenderness, and then there's a choice for making Diana Ross. There's a choice for making.
I would expect no less from Diana Ross.
Yeah. And they come together for It's True We Make a Better Day. Make a better day, just you and me.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, he does sound very. I mean, obviously Michael Jackson can sing more aggressively, but he doesn't really do that here. Which
fair enough. Yeah, you don't get like what's a good example of like more harsher Jackson vocals?
Well, I mean, we talked about
Smooth Criminal.
Yeah. Like your Smooth Criminal, or you're like Billie Jean or something.
Billie Jean, yeah.
Or Bad.
Bad. Yeah, I was like, Bad was the first thing I thought of. I was like, that song's not great.
It's bad?
It's bad. You know it. So we got verse 3, which is like probably the least people I know. Like I know Willie Nelson and Dionne Warwick by name. Al Jarreau.
Yeah, I didn't know him.
Awarded drunkest performer at the event.
He was having some difficulties.
Yeah, he was in his cups a bit. So we get this first. Dionne Warwick though she's got the pipes too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Not a singer I'm very familiar with though.
No, me neither. Willie Nelson, I'm more familiar with his weed smoking habits than his musical
he was kind
abilities.
of a like legalization icon until we stopped talking about that in Canada because we legalized it. So Willie Nelson dropped off out of my life pretty much after.
Yeah, you're like, okay, we did it, guys.
Yeah, it's always fun hearing younger guys, especially like guys like Willie Nelson, who to me have always been like old guy looking. You know, he's like
he's always looked ancient,
very age forward, I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
Looking a little younger, and even sounding a little younger, right? Like,
yeah,
but he's still got that voice. He's got a cool little like buzzy. You know, it's country. It's a little less practice, but he sounds. It's pretty. You know, he's pretty good sounding here. It's
pretty good. Still got a gray beard here because he is an old fuck.
Like, yeah, he's always been old.
Yeah, always. Yeah, we get Al Jarreau, but really, I want to skip through verse 3 here to get to what is my personal highlight of the song here. The second chorus.
It's quite a group for like us.
Quite a group. Yeah, this is for us. We got Bruce Springsteen opening, he was just coming off of like his tour, like literally he finished his tour the day before.
Yeah.
In Jersey and flew out to here to LA to record.
To LA. Like immediately, yeah. So he had just been touring.
So he's in rough shape and he knocks out some Bruce Springsteen vocals.
This is one of the reasons I wondered how much pitch correction was going on, just based on the progress video, you know. But
we
don't want to talk about that too much.
Don't want to talk about that too much. I will say that progress video though gave me chills, dude. It was I was like, Bruce Springsteen fucking rocks.
Yeah, he's got the sound, man.
Yeah, and we go from that to Kenny Loggins, who's much softer. And then we ramp things right up, back to back Steve Perry, Daryl Hall.
I know, Steve Perry, Daryl Hall, they really put some like vocal powerhouses on the back half of this one, eh?
Yeah,
and they
fucking
don't
knock
show
it
up
out.
again. Like,
no, they're done. Go home, Steve Perry, Daryl Hall. It's unreal, because I was like, how are they going to follow up Steve Perry? And then Daryl Hall comes in with just a little bit of that plastic soul value, and you're like, oh yeah, dude.
Well, I mean, do you remember when we were talking about Hall & Oates, to use the name we don't like? And there's some quote about Daryl Hall being like, my voice is pretty much, like, I can do anything I want with my voice. Like, I know.
Yeah, he's like one of the greatest singers.
Yeah. And like someone talking about working with him in the studio and be like, yeah, he's probably the best singer I've ever worked with, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah, because he's just like some sort of like consummate professional and has like just incredible range and like technique.
Yeah. John Oates also there.
He's also present.
He's just in the chorus though.
They were able to be in the same room at this point in time. No longer
they were still getting along in the mid 80s.
Yeah, that was kind of their peak.
Yeah. So that's good.
That was good. Good for them. Bridge is pretty rocking too.
Yeah.
The thing is with a lot of these like vocalists, even ones I like don't listen to that much, I'm like, you get a bit of appreciation in this one line demo they give you
of like what they sound like, right?
Yeah.
They just come in a bit, and they're all trying to put their own spin on it, of course, because that's the point, right? Of the solo, and they're not sort of falling into the background, but they're all in the chorus as well. So
and like you're there with everyone else in the studio, so you gotta put your all on, because especially like Huey Lewis talks about it. I won't talk about it too much, but he's such a like blue collar dude, and then winds up being the line after Michael Jackson.
Yeah, and like that was a bit of a kerfuffle as it was, but he ends up there, and it took him a while, but he got it.
He gets it. And like, that Huey Lewis is a guy who's got just a good tone on his vocals.
Yeah.
Like a bit of that gravel in there.
Yeah, I think a little underappreciated.
Yeah, because, I would agree.
He was not a one-hit wonder, but like not active for that long. But then you listen to like some of the stuff he did do in the 80s with the band, who are also on the chorus, by the way.
They're on the chorus. The news is here.
And like some good songs. You know?
Some good songs.
Even I was all The Power of Love and, you know, the Back to the Future soundtrack growing up. But like there's some other good stuff too.
Yeah, I mean, he is like, if not a one-hit wonder, he's trapped in the 80s.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think his vocals alone like deserve to give him a little bit of space outside of that. But
yeah, it's got a good tone.
And then fucking like monster vocalist Cyndi Lauper, I didn't really realize is as good as she is. And like, she knocks it out here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a little bit of ad-libbing in there too, you know, kind of working up to the pitch.
Yeah, that well. Yeah, she's rising up that whole time like she needs a runway.
Yeah. It just feels very, I mean, obviously the personality's there, right? Like they feel very distinct. So I guess they picked the right soloists.
Yeah, they certainly did. Kim Carnes, I don't know a lot about.
I don't know a lot about Kim Carnes. I'm going to Google her now.
Yeah, I was like, I should Google Kim Carnes. I
didn't. Yeah. Oh, she's a singer.
Hey, that makes sense.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. I thought she was just working tech. She does Betty Davis Eyes. I know that song.
Oh, okay. Okay. I don't really.
It's about having Betty Davis eyes.
Oh, Betty Davis.
I think I reference it sometimes, and it's not as popular as I believe it is, so nobody's ever like, haha, Betty Davis eyes.
Yeah, good one. Classic Kim Carnes song.
That Kim Carnes classic.
Classic.
Yeah, she's here too, and she stands her ground with Cyndi Lauper after the Cyndi Lauper. She got to follow up Cyndi Lauper's big performance. She does great.
Yeah, I mean Cyndi Lauper very like distinct in a pop way.
Yeah, even just talking, that woman sounds very distinct.
It's like between the accent and the like. I can say baby doll voice, that kind of like higher pitched with.
She sounds like Betty Boop.
Yeah, she does. She's so unusual.
Yeah, she is so unusual.
So after this is when we really start to get like the choir. Everyone together, the whole chorus, and I mean this is everyone. You said, was it 47?
Yeah, 47 is I believe the official count from the documentary. I heard 45 somewhere else. I'm going to go with 47 because the documentary is the most recent source.
Some might have omitted Waylon Jennings or something, but as I understand, he was in the chorus for some of the recording.
Waylon Jennings, man, what is going on with that guy? I'm excited to talk about that. Tune in next week to learn about Waylon Jennings and whether or not he is racist. Answer, like...
Probably at least a little bit.
At least a little bit. But he may be returned, so he's maybe on the chorus here.
Yeah. So after that, we get some more choruses. It's all choruses now, but this is where we get Bob Dylan coming in.
Bob Dylan. If you don't like look at the listing here, you do not expect Bob Dylan to show up at any point in this song.
Yeah, I mean, there's some. Yeah, because he hasn't shown up yet, and now he just kind of like comes in. He's Bob Dylan. He's very Bob Dylan here.
Let's save our own lives. Yeah, he is so Bob Dylan. I was like, there. No wonder he had to have his own solo part here. It's like, no way he's singing on the chorus.
I think he is, but I mean, we'll talk more about him.
You can see him doing some of the low parts very quietly.
Yeah.
I will say, not to say too much about the doc, but the Bob Dylan content is premium. It's very interesting.
Very interesting. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, contribution from Robert.
Yeah, from 60s man, Robert. Fuck, what is his last name? Zimmerman.
Yeah.
I had Paulson from Fight Club
Robert
in
Paulson.
my head.
His name is Robert Paulson.
Robert Paulson.
His name is not Robert Paulson.
His name is not Robert Paulson. So yeah, he's here giving the most Bob Dylan performance you can imagine.
And then continues
you get some
into
backing,
the next
like
because there's another chorus.
Yes, and here accompanied by Ray Charles as well.
Which very interesting. I mean, look, we love Bob Dylan here. I do.
We love Bob Dylan. I'm a big Bob Dylan guy.
Bob Dylan fan. He's not the best singer, you know.
He's not technically the best.
Yeah, technically he's not like hitting the pitch necessarily. He's no Leonard Cohen, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to pair him now with Ray Charles, who is known as a very good singer and like a really like classic tone and like just being really good at singing.
Yeah, just being insanely good at singing by the book.
Although both very distinct voices as well.
Yes. Oh yeah, so the tone on both.
Interesting this is where they come together is like distinct voices, but like in terms of like vocal, I guess in terms of hitting the pitch, I guess I would say.
Yeah.
Not
even in terms
really
of,
in the same ballpark.
No, because even quality of voice, like Bob Dylan is big, like nasally, high and nasally, and then Ray Charles is like down low and very like resonant
voice. Yeah.
So yeah, it is a hilarious contrast,
but an interesting one. You know,
it works.
I mean, they clearly thought this out.
Yeah, and because like even Ray Charles is a bit of character in his voice.
Oh, absolutely.
Like it's his accent or something. Like we're saving our own lives. Like it's.
I think that's soul.
I guess that is soul. He's putting a little bit of that soul on there.
Yeah. But and then there's another chorus after that. Ray Charles kind of gets to. He like leads the chorus here, you know, and starts to do a little like ad.
Right, let me hear ya.
Yeah.
Brings it in.
And just sounding like Ray Charles. I mostly know Ray Charles from
the Billy Joel song.
Billy Joel song. Duets with Billy Joel.
Baby Grand, is that the one? Yeah, I think that's mostly where I know him too. So you get to hear him going, and then he brings in the next round of vocal improvisations, which is, I believe, Bruce Springsteen and Stevie Wonder.
Yeah, Springsteen and Stevie.
Which is also wild.
Too.
Yeah, because Springsteen sounds, haggard and like gravelly. Stevie Wonder sounds like a child. Like he sings so high up.
He does. Yeah, and he's been singing for such a long time. Because he was a child, similar to Michael Jackson, right?
Yeah.
From a very young age. But yeah, it's always interesting hearing Stevie Wonder, and it's like, especially because he's like a bit bigger now.
He's a big guy, like in my head.
It's weird seeing that, comparing that to like him in the like 70s, so he looks a lot slighter, but maybe that's just his album covers.
Could be.
But yeah, he's got that like higher voice.
Yeah, so you get, "We are the world," coming from Bruce, and then like, "We are the world" from Stevie Wonder. And it's
absolutely.
They're throwing contrast at you for sure.
And then
they do a couple of choruses.
Yeah, they do a couple. They do a little back and forth. They're sounding like themselves. It's distinct voices, like we said.
Yeah. And this is the one you get like footage of in the doc, is Bruce doing the "We're saving our own lives."
Yeah.
It's like it's quality 1980s Bruce. It's
absolutely.
like, oh yeah, it's good.
And then it's choir from here on out, right? Like this is the chorus for the rest of it.
Yeah. We ride out that choir for the last minute of the song. With some ad-libs. I think it's Charles and James Ingram. It's not credited on Genius, but it is Ray Charles and James Ingram.
Because I did not know who that was.
I didn't know either, but the beauty of this song is the music video that was built in promotion with it.
Right.
Shows you who's singing at which times. I saw that guy and I was like, okay, I think that's James Ingram. I looked it up and I was like, okay, yeah, it's James Ingram.
Okay. I believe it.
And it fades out because how could you not? So this song, is it a good song, Alex? That's my real question. Is this a good song?
I feel like this for a lot of like 80s pop when it's new, I'm like, is this? Because it's so often very distinctly 80s, and this song is definitely that. Yeah. And obviously it like worked. It's a good song. It's good enough. The melody's strong enough. Maybe there's parts of it that's like, if it had a little more time in the oven, they could have worked out a bit better. Because there is a lot of choruses, which is fine, but like there's a lot.
Maybe we can do something different there. And
it's so like self-referential, kind of like this song exists to be a charity record. So is it a good song? It's effective in that way.
Yeah. And that's what Bruce Springsteen says in the documentary.
Yeah.
He's like, people will talk about the aesthetics of this song and say like, oh, it's not that great. And he's like, yeah, but it's not, it's a tool. He's like, I view the song as a tool, and as a tool, it did its job. It raised a fuck ton of money.
Yeah. So, it worked. And like, it's not like I don't enjoy singing along to it. It's so easy to sing along to, or just pull out lines like you were saying with that. Or sorry, what was the line? Choice we're making.
There's a choice we're making.
Like, there's lines like that you can pull out, or even just that "We Are the World," or like "Let's Start Giving." Like the lines all kind of work on their own in a way that like sticks with you.
Yeah, and as it's a song that's built to be sung by so many different popular singers.
Yeah.
It's a song I found myself just playing around with singing in the house because it's a vocal track.
And you can do all the voices.
Sung to. And you can do all the voices.
Yeah.
And do your own voices. And it's very flexible in that sense.
Yeah. So, yeah. It's a lot of fun to sing. So I guess it is an effective song. There's obviously a lot of different ways you could judge it. And even...
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that did come up in the doc was like maybe Bruce Springsteen fans didn't love it because it wasn't rock and roll enough. And they were like, "What's?"
Yeah, and there's even talk of, and this didn't come up so much in the doc, which is one of my complaints about it, but some of the like the discord, the disarray in people's opinions on it, even during the recording process.
Yeah,
because they talk about Cyndi Lauper. Quincy Jones has a quote about her starting some shit. There's there's a recent interview on Howard Stern with Billy Joel, and he brings up a few things because they talk about this because it came out recently. Yeah,
and Billy Joel said there was what I think he said Cyndi Lauper it was leaned over to him at one point. It's like, this sounds like a Pepsi commercial, like because it apparently sounded like Pepsi commercials at the time, and Michael Jackson was working on Pepsi
Lionel
commercials.
Ricci
They were working on
Pepsi musicians
with Pepsi. So they were like, "What is this? A Pepsi commercial?" And even looking at some of the like reviews of this song in media.
Yeah,
they were like,
was the same
sounds
remark.
like a Pepsi commercial, or like, what is this? Or it was accused of being like a subliminal Pepsi commercial,
right? Because
be like, this sounds like Pepsi ads. It's just there to make people think of Pepsi, which is
Pepsi because the word was
now.
Like choice of a new. I think their ad campaign was choice of a new generation.
Choice of a new generation, which I only know because of Wayne's World.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that might be the only reason I know it. But that was the ad, and with the big emphasis on the line, it's a choice we're making.
Yeah.
Which is so funny because that line was changed to be less about suicide.
Yeah. and nowadays, like, well, we don't know those Pepsi ads, so obviously it doesn't matter anymore. So it's kind of funny to hear. But at the time, that was part of the conversation.
Yeah, it's very, and that's the new Pepsi slogan, join the conversation.
Oh my gosh.
At least it was for like a minute. I don't know.
Yeah, for like, I feel like it didn't last that long. But that said, I don't see Pepsi ads.
No, nor do I.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is something about this that sounds a bit like musically like an advertisement.
I mean, we talked about the splash screen at the start. It looks like, it kind of has that sound to it of like, listen up, everybody. I don't know what that quality is necessarily. Is it because it's anthemic?
It could be, yeah. And like the purpose of like a commercial jingle, similar to this song, is to be in your head, right?
Yeah.
Because the more you think about this song, the more, in this case, you're going to want to give to charity. But, the more you hear the Pepsi jingle in the head, the more you want a Pepsi.
That's true. Both of them are trying to get your money. This one's a little more, like, honest about it, but, like, it's going to a better place.
It's going to a better place. When I think of Pepsi ads, I think of the ones from, like, the mid-2000s. It might have even been for, like, Diet Pepsi or something. Where the guy's like, I see you're enjoying a Pepsi. It's like the choice of a young generation or something. Like the young people's choice.
Like, I used
Is there anything
anything
else
Pepsi.
youthful you'd like to experience?
Oh, that's the one.
And the guy's like, yeah, I'd like my old jeans back. And then he's wearing jeans that are too tight and Hot Blooded plays by Foreigner.
I remember that. That's the first time I ever heard that song, I think.
Yeah, I think that's why I know that song. That's that Howard Stern quote is also from Rolling Stone magazine in 2005. Billy Joel, he says, most of us who were there didn't like the song, but nobody would say so. I think Cyndi Lauper leaned over to me and said it sounds like a Pepsi commercial. According to Quincy Jones, Cyndi Lauper was the only artist who caused the disruption during this song. Her bracelets were rattling next to the microphone as she was singing.
Right.
I like this quote from Jones' 2018 interview. He said, she had a manager come over to me and say, the rockers don't like the song. I know how this shit works. We went to see Springsteen, Hall & Oates, Billy Joel, and all those cats, and they said, we love the song. So I said to Lauper, okay, you just get your shit over with and leave. And then he says, and she was fucking up every take because her necklace or bracelet was rattling in the microphone. It was just her that had a problem.
That's funny. Because
that's very funny.
I mean, seeing the footage, it didn't really come across that way, but they did kind of come up that she was maybe a little didn't love it. But everyone seems really into the concept. Like, they want to do it, whether they like the song or not, right? So
yeah,
it's interesting.
It was funny. I think it's Loggins who's like, did I know what the fuck was going on in Africa? No, but I knew Michael Jackson was attached to this, and that would be a big fucking hit. And so it's interesting to see everybody's like reasons for coming together. Everybody's like, what they think of their own image coming in. Like, naturally, the rock and rollers want to look more counterculture.
Yeah,
and that's represented by Cyndi Lauper and her fucking McDonald's hair colors.
Yeah, weirdly enough. But she's so unusual.
She is so unusual.
And I mean, more to the point of like, is it a good song? It's probably like, this sort of stuff doesn't happen very often. This is a lot of very famous people getting together, you know?
Yeah, it's a great
novelty. As a time capsule, very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. And the time capsule has a music video, which we can talk about kind of briefly. It's just them recording in the studio, and this music video was released as part. So everything that was released in part with this, the single was made to generate more money for charity.
Right.
So you could buy the VHS of, there was a documentary released with it. You could buy the VHS of the music video. There's shirts. There's a book written about it. All this shit. There's buttons. And so the music video is promo footage cut from that. it shows this fucking cutting edge CGI Earth at the start, which doesn't help with that like edutainment image. Like it literally turns into the USA for Africa logo.
Dude, which this is exactly what it sounds like what should happen at this point.
Yeah.
And then it happens in the music video.
I do like the touch here that all the signatures of the artists
that is cool.
That's very cool. But then we're basically shown every artist singing their part, and then some wide shots for the choruses and stuff. Yeah,
and it's cool because you also see like the other artists hanging out in the background and stuff because it's just whatever footage they could get, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you get to see Paul Simon holding his sheet music. And it's great to, I think, and I'm trying not to talk too much about the doc, but there is a lot of good information in there. But especially with these shots, like seeing the Paul Simon and Kenny Rogers shot, that's a bit of a moment in the documentary. So to see that there, I'm like, oh yeah, they had to like struggle with that a bit. And you get to see them talk about it. It's pretty funny.
It is, yeah. I mean, it looks so smooth in this part. But or in this video. But
that even cool. Like Dionne Warwick's line, the "Send Me Your Heart" stuff, they had to do like 6 takes on. And so it's very interesting to watch this with the documentary as supplementary watching, because then you get more context about what's going on. But seeing everybody do their musical faces,
yeah, do their like I'm singing and like my nose is scrunched up now.
Yeah,
it's fun.
It's fun. It ends with the URL for USA for Africa.
Still exists?
You know what? I didn't check. USAforAfrica.org. Oh yeah, it still exists, baby.
Cool.
Hell yeah. That's the music video. We're already an hour into this. I will say this on the is it a good song or not? I think what we kind of said is like it's a great piece of like history. It's a great novelty, and that's kind of the part you actually have to bring if you're making a cover. Is the novelty factor. Because otherwise you're not covering what is a very interesting song. It's a very broad song. It's not musically like, whoa, this is a stunner.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's no guitar solo, even though there could have been.
So yeah, it's you need to have that novelty concept. A lot of people bring that this week. The first novelty idea we bring is, of course, comedy. In 2000. Wait, hang on. Sorry, I gotta first. A quick break.
Yes.
Back from break, Alex.
We're back. Guitar solo.
Yeah, that was us exiting our cryogenic chambers.
It's been a while.
Refreshed.
Whoa, what were we talking about?
What? Yeah, I've forgotten everything, but I think we should talk about Richard Cheese in 2005.
Oh, we are the world. We are the children. We are the ones who make a brighter day. So let's start giving. There's a choice we're making. We're saving our own lives. It's true, make a better day, just you and me. When you're down and out.
I'm down to talk about Richard Cheese in 2005.
Talk to me about Richard Cheese in 2005.
He's been around for a while. I mean, we've talked about him a couple times.
Is it a joke because it's Dick Cheese?
I think so.
Perfect. Okay. We talked about him a couple times, yeah. And Lounge Against the Machine is his cover band.
Yeah, they do.
Great name.
Lounge, jazz covers of pop songs. But with a, comedic side to it. We've talked about it. I'm trying to remember what the joke is in other ones. There's a bit of a joke in this one. I think it's more like their attitude when they're performing kind of thing. Like they're fun.
I think you get the over sincerity on the top of this one.
Right. Yes.
That's the first joke.
Definitely.
There is, of course, the one line that is a joke.
Yep.
I think it's a pretty solid joke for what it is. And then the other is just ripping through a 7-minute song in 1 minute.
Yeah.
In 46 seconds.
They don't do a ton of the song, but it makes sense. They don't have 1,000 singers to do all the different parts, right? So it doesn't really make sense to stick around.
And is there any joke you could do lyrically, any concept even that you could expand on for 7 minutes? And still have it be funny? That's very difficult.
Yeah.
So we imitate the intro on a sort of louder synth, and we get narration from Richard Cheese.
Yes, talking about the process of recording, or just the recording of it, where it says
in 1985 in a studio in Hollywood, the biggest names in singing: Lionel, Paul, Kenny, Bruce, Huey, Ray, Tina, Cindy, Kim Carnes.
Is that a joke?
And I think that is a joke because everybody else gets just their first name, including Michael Jackson, and then it's I have to say Kim Carnes because otherwise, what Kim is it?
Yeah.
joined to create a song that saved the world. Hit it, boys! And then they jump into this.
Yes, and then it's like suddenly fast, like faster jazz, right? Lots of piano chords. You get it's literally like classic jazz, you know?
But yeah, like super quick, real energetic.
And the world must come together.
It's
cooking. He's got his, deeper voice, kind of that crooner style, but we're going fast.
Yeah, he's nailing the crooner style, because if you can do that, you can do it. Like, it's it's not the hardest thing to do, but like once you're in the pocket there, you're golden. Walking bass line. The fun thing he does is really ripping through Making a Brighter Day. It's true, make a better day, as you and I. Oh, it'll make a better day. Like he really puts the grease on that.
He's been doing his tongue twisters.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's real quick. There's not much. He does the first verse. They do a chorus, a bridge, and then another chorus, and like that's it.
Yeah, the piano's grooving along a lot, like a lot of just like bright chords, some runs. Yep. It's very full of life.
Yeah, lots of good runs on that piano.
Yes.
Yeah, lively. It's very lively.
Yeah. And then they even have time for a sarcastic kind of chorus line breakdown.
They do.
Where they kind of slow down.
Slows right down. We are
that's where
the world. That's where we get our one like explicit joke. Instead of "we are the children," he says, "Keep Michael Jackson away from your children." So a little molestation joke in there for you.
It's I was gonna make a joke about this, and I didn't cook it the full way here, but something about maybe like Michael Jackson being jealous of Michael Bread because it's touched more kids than him.
All right. Fair enough.
That's my contribution to the molestation comedy scene. It's a scene. It's more ways than one. Keep Michael Jackson away from your children. Yeah. And then he gets out. So, like, I'll say those are the two things this song is going for. It is like the speed of it, both in terms of like it makes for a lively recording and it gets the track out as soon as possible.
Absolutely. Which is, especially if you're not doing it like in the anthemic way, If you do it in the anthemic way, you can get people to sing along or whatever. And in a live setting, that might be a little more engaging, right? Whereas this is we don't have that. We don't have multiple singers.
No.
We have to just
We got one guy. We got one like clear joke and some other just like general sarcasm laced throughout.
Yeah.
Let's get in, let's get out, let's have a bit of fun.
Yeah.
Honestly, pretty solid version in my opinion.
Pretty solid. Yeah, I agree.
Let's talk about somebody who's not getting in and out. Actually, this is a little difficult because it's credited to two artists, but it's actually quite a few. So the two major ones listed on Tidal are Hukedicht and Teenage Kings. This is 2005 still. So these are two Swiss punk rock bands. If you watch the music video, it's actually it's a ton of Swiss. So they do basically video. USA for Africa, but with Swiss punk.
I didn't see the music video.
So the music video is basically the same as the USA for Africa one. But they will put in the corner who is singing at that point, so whoever the camera's on, and what band they're from.
That's handy.
I
do see at the start, it's like stickers from all the different groups.
Yeah, so it starts with it's like a urinal, and then a bunch of stickers go over top of it. That's all the different groups.
Little more punk. Yeah, I definitely see. What was I going to say? I totally lost my train of thought there. Right. I guess a little more on the backstory. It's a split album between these groups. And
That's
then
right.
This is like when they come together as one at the end.
Mm-hmm. With a bunch of other bands, as it turns out. So yeah, this is all of these guys. And so we start with it's the punk rock version. So we got a lot of kind of like distortion, power chords kind of energy.
Yeah, it's that's kind of it, right? That's how they do it's mostly chords on distorted guitars now.
Yeah, a lot of sustain,
Yes, a lot of sustain and it's pretty straightforward, right? Other than that, it's the rock version. They're not worrying about the piano doing the twinkly stuff. It's all it's straight chords with distortion, but it's all these different voices. And it's pretty cool. The other thing I will mention about it though is it kind of sounds like
There comes a time.
Yes, he sounds like Cookie Monster.
Yes, like several of them do.
But it kind of almost sounds like they recorded a guide track, like,
and then never like
a key down,
did the rest. Yeah,
and then because everyone's singing flat.
Yeah,
here, and
You're
fine,
right. And
it's punk, whatever.
Yeah.
But they are definitely like not hitting it.
Also, if you watch that music video, particularly the chorus at the end, almost everyone has a beer in hand.
Oh,
and
yeah.
like about like maybe 25% of the crowd also has a cigarette. Like,
I mean, that's the energy of this one too, right? Is like
yeah,
pub karaoke.
Pub
you know?
karaoke. That yeah.
Everyone's singing along. I'm pretty sure a lot of them are not even singers. Like, there's a guy who's just doing like a soft falsetto. Maybe he's a singer, but obviously they're like joking around, like they're messing around.
Yeah,
here, right.
There's a bit of tongue in cheek here. And yeah, I think maybe like especially with punk rockers at a certain level, you're not getting the best vocal care.
Yeah.
So that would also, I think, explain a lot of the flatness.
Yeah, absolutely. And most of them are flat. I would say.
Yeah, so it might be a technical error. Like, yeah, they recorded a guide track.
I don't think that actually happened, but it's kind of what it sounds like. What else do we have? Let's see. Voices. I wrote down some notes on a few voices. It really sounds like all the band members are joining in, but I didn't realize there was all different bands. They're all pretty rough sounding, but that's the point, I think. Clearly, there's a lot of joking going on. Like, they're really exaggerated, like deep. There's an exaggerated deep voice at 2:05 is the timestamp I have for that.
Okay, yeah, let me take a look there.
Maybe in the video? Not in the video.
Oh, there's a choice we're making.
Yeah, it sounds like exaggerated. One of the guys sounds like Cookie Monster at least.
Yeah, the one at 50 seconds, he really dips into Cookie Monster territory. Yeah.
And then he it's either I thought he came back, but apparently it's different voices.
I thought he came back too. I was like, okay, he returns, but no, they've got like a bunch of different vocalists. So it is weird that the Swiss have like Muppet voices for punk rock. It's very strange.
And is that guy at 4:19 doing a David Bowie impression?
I thought that at first. And I think maybe that's just his kind of style.
Just his voice. He also kind of sounds like the guy from, I want to say, Sisters of Mercy.
Yeah, okay.
Which is probably very Bowie influenced.
That would be that. Because it would make no sense to do a Bowie impersonation on this.
Yeah, because he wasn't on the track and he wasn't American, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I did wonder when I was listening, I was like, are they trying to do impersonations of certain performers from the original or just certain big artists? And I don't think so, but it could be. My big complaint on this one is that, like, instrumentally, and I know the original doesn't do a lot instrumentally.
Yeah.
But we've got a chance to, like, the most punk thing you can do is double time at some point, right?
Right.
Pick things up, get a little sloppy, get a little aggressive.
They don't double time.
And we never do
That's
that.
True.
Yeah.
A little unusual. It's a fun concept, I think, overall, like as described, like bar karaoke. And then it does sound like everyone is getting drunker as it goes, and it sounds like that's actually what happened.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
Yeah, in terms of recording it, it sounds like it was a blast. It is funny to watch the music video and just see all this chorus of just fucking dudes in band t-shirts at the end, fucking drinking beers, smoking cigarettes. But yeah, I think it kind of misses it could have been more playful in some ways, I think.
It doesn't necessarily feel as earnest, but it might be. It's tough to know, like, because it's Swiss,
yeah,
right?
And they're notoriously bad at delivering humor.
Because it doesn't necessarily translate is all.
Yeah, it doesn't translate, and it just feels like they maybe didn't pick a solid take there of either been like, we're going to do this genuinely, and this is for, I don't know, whatever Swiss charity.
Yeah. Or
like, let's do this tongue-in-cheek, and it's just for fun and kicks. They said in the music video they called themselves Swiss punk rock celebrities, and I can't remember what it said in the description it was for. It was like for... did I write it somewhere? No, I didn't.
I don't see anything.
I'm a fool. Well, I'm a fool. But you know who did this for a different cause? That cause being playing it with just instruments. Marc Reift Orchestra in 2008.
Marc Reift Orchestra. Yeah, I couldn't find much on them other than that it's an orchestra led by Marc Reift.
Yes, who's a Switzerland-born composer and arranger.
Also Swiss, interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. Mark's motto is enjoy yourself, and you'll make other people enjoy themselves too.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Biggest problem with this one, I think, it's a pretty rich arrangement, but I do think you'd do a lot better if you had a vocalist, even just one.
I suppose I do kind of like the idea of like, well, we have the original, which is all these different solos from all these different singers, and now we have an instrumental version, and you kind of need it to be a symphony for this, or an orchestra or whatever, where you do a whole bunch of solos from a whole bunch of instruments. So, like, conceptually, that's solid.
That is a fair concept, yeah. And I will say the intro fucking comes to life with real brass.
Yeah. Yeah, that is helpful.
Yeah, so you got like I think it's a sax doing the vocal melody to start off.
Yeah. And yeah, like you said, nice chimes and actual brass and things, like real instruments.
Yeah, a bit of backing woodwind in there. Yeah. But it's the instruments playing the instrument that they are, rather than the synth playing the role of a trumpet or whatever.
It's good that they didn't do too many repetitions. Like 3:30 is definitely long enough.
It's like any longer than that or too much.
And I don't know. I don't know that I would say that it needed a voice. Just because I think the like layers work well, you know. Because they're still making this feeling of everyone's here with the sort of arrangement of like, oh, now the woodwinds are going, and like you can hear things in the background and it's layered.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Sometimes I just feel I get a little bored in an instrumental version. And particularly when this one is such a vocalist piece.
It's still, yeah, I guess the thing I would say about that, where I do agree, that's a weird sentence. Let me try that again. There are times where it feels like it's a bit lacking in like energy and like it's kind of like just playing softly, and it's a little missing something. Whereas in the original, it was like these artists really trying to punch their solo.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess
I would say the chorus needs that.
Yeah,
is that little extra like pizzazz, because like there is a great richness to this and it works really well on the verses, which are more tender in the original than anything else.
Yeah,
but then that just kind of sticks into the chorus, and since things are maybe a bit slower on this version, you get a bit stuck in the mud of that chorus.
They stay a little bit too laid back.
Yeah,
like kind of in the space of maybe the first verse of the original, and they don't move far enough past it. Like compare it to Springsteen's part,
Yeah,
where he's like
just like
Springsteen and like gravelly, and you really get that strain, and he's really pushing.
And it cuts through the mix of what the other vocalists have been to that point. It's like you get such a different flavor there.
Yeah.
And you've got brass, which is like some of the most expressive instruments you can have. You can get so much like dirt and grit out of those. You can get so much out of those,
especially with the
don't
sax.
Do anything. Yeah, especially a saxophone. So yeah, if they had really committed to even what you said, this like concept of like, here's a solo from a different instrument, and we're really going to put some flavor on it, like that would be very cool.
Yeah, like
but
this is the sax part, this is the clarinet part, whatever.
Yeah, here it is on strings. Here, like,
which, it feels like they kind of do that sometimes, but yeah, I think you may be right. They don't really do enough personality for those instruments. Except maybe, I mean, I kind of like the bridge with the woodwinds, but still, even then, maybe not quite.
Yeah.
Don't quite get there.
It just gets like mired. But yeah, I do like the tone on the instruments in here. I think the quality of instruments is very solid. We just need a little more like direction to give them, a little more of like an idea of why this song is being performed. Yeah,
it feels a little too straightforward.
Yeah.
I have another timestamp, 2:35. Not that exciting. Makes me think of Boney M. Christmas. Don't know why. Fully.
I can kind of see that.
There's little like brass fills in there. That's kind of the thing. Anyway,
that checks out to me.
Yeah, that's that version.
Yeah, they do kind of like a big flourish at the end. And you're out. Now the other big ass version of this, 2010 Artists for Haiti.
We are the world. We are the world. We are the children.
Yes.
This is a very strange big-ass version. So this is January 12th, 2010. A magnitude 7 earthquake hits Haiti. And then, the musicians of the world and Jeff Bridges unite.
And Jeff Bridges. Randy Jackson's there, but the wrong one, I think. Randy Jackson. There's another Randy Jackson
There's two
Michael Jackson's
Randy
brother.
Jackson. Okay.
He was on the
American
original
Idol's Randy
track,
Jackson.
apparently. So now this one has a Randy Jackson, but it's a different Randy Jackson.
Right. It's American Idol studio musician, bassist for Journey, Randy Jackson.
Exactly. Anyway, and Vince Vaughn, I think, is here.
Vince Vaughn.
I swear I saw him in the video.
Yeah, he is. He's there. Yeah, he's listed right after Usher in these credits.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
That's the big thing about this video. So it's still produced by Quincy Jones.
Yep.
It's executive produced by Lionel Richie, and Wyclef Jean is a big one on this because Wyclef Jean is a Haitian artist.
Yes.
Haitian American, I believe. So he played a big role in bringing this to life. I mean, let's get the aid there. The list of artists on this is fucking bizarre.
It is kind of bizarre. For a couple of reasons. One, there's people who it seems like people who could have been on the original and weren't. There's just, I guess part of it is just that these were contemporary artists to us growing up, or certainly for me, and it's like I have opinions about these artists that are different,
That are and like some of the contemporary artists weren't like big in the same way and I guess part of that is just the way like pop culture is developed.
Right.
But like the second line in this goes to one of the members of the Pussycat Dolls.
Yes, Nicole Scherzinger.
Yeah.
Does like I thought a fair amount on this, or she shows up a few times in the video.
She puts in some work, and it's like, okay, we've got her. We also have on this track like Barbra Streisand.
Yeah, Barbra Streisand. Celine Dion's on this.
Celine Dion. Brian Wilson.
Brian Wilson? I didn't even notice.
I'm seeing that in the track here. Brian Wilson's on this. Not one of the big titles, and I get that you have to have. They have a good selection of people from that time who are still giants. You've got Drake, you've got Justin Bieber, you've got Ye as he's known now, at Kanye West. There's a good selection of heavy hitters in this, but there's also a lot of I guess Rashida Jones is there because she's Quincy Jones's
daughter.
Josh
Groban's there. Just throwing that out.
Josh Groban is, I think, a good pick. Yeah. He's kind of like your midway artist. He's not like a headliner, but I don't think he's as forgettable as Nicole Scherzinger.
Yeah. Of the Pussycat Dolls.
Yeah. So it is hard to look at some of this through the same lens that we look at the original because as much time hasn't passed to really solidify legacy. But some of the choices on here are fucking strange, I think.
Interesting. But I mean, there's some other big names like Adam Levine's there, Pink's there.
Yeah. Adam, your body is absurd, Levine.
Iglesias. Jamie Foxx also.
Jamie Foxx, who is he rides that line between musician and actor.
And he also
played Ray Charles.
Yes, he played
and he
Ray
also
Charles.
does the intro.
The Jonas Brothers were there. Nick Jonas gets a solo.
That makes sense to me.
Tony Bennett also. That's fun.
Tony Bennett, the oldest guy there, 83 years old. Tony Bennett. The youngest is some 9-year-old kid. I forget his name now. But he's a little 9-year-old kid who holds the Guinness record for youngest entity to go on tour.
Go on tour, okay. Entity. Human?
Yeah, not person. Human or
yeah. Let's see, what else happens in this one? I mean, there's also, they've added a rapped verse.
Yes.
Which everyone has to rap together because there's only one. So LL Cool J, will.i.am, Snoop Dogg, Busta Rhymes, and Swizz Beatz.
Swizz Beatz.
Right, that's the Zeds.
Yeah, those are Zeds. Yeah, and is Snoop Dogg also on that verse? Did you say Snoop Dogg?
It says Snoop Dogg.
Okay, yeah. And that's apparently penned. I've read it's penned by both LL Cool J and will.i.am.
Okay. Interesting.
So that's LL Cool J says Ladies Love Cool J. Mr. Ladies Love says he says Mr. Jones just called me and asked if Mr. Quincy Jones, that is, not Mr. Jones from the Counting Crow song. Mr. Quincy Jones just called me and asked if I would take a shot at writing the hip hop section or the rap section of the song. And I took a shot at it and recorded it. And it says will.i.am and Kanye West also wrote another section of the rap.
Yeah,
melody.
they do later on another bit together.
Yeah. So your big additions here are the rap verse and the true like biggest artist of 2010, Auto-Tune.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot of that. Which I have a feeling there was some pitch correction going on in the original. Just because of the time frames, you know?
Yeah.
But you can it's a lot more audible, and that was just the style. This is 2010, you know?
Yeah.
Obviously, we still use it, but I feel like, generally speaking, more is done to cover it up.
Yeah, this is such an odd, because we were like so into Auto-Tune for some reason.
I mean, there's a whole T-Pain solo bit.
Yeah, and T-Pain, a man who I'm pretty sure can sing actually very well.
I'm told, yeah.
For some reason has like the heaviest Auto-Tune ever. Like that was his big move. So you get that. This version also inspired a YouTube musician version of with just a bunch of like YouTube famous people.
Anyone I would recognize?
I didn't really look into it that much because
probably good move.
Probably good move. I bet probably Smooth McGroove's on it.
Smooth McGroove's.
And the Leo maybe.
Leo.
I'm just guessing.
Who's that guy? I don't even remember the names anymore. They keep Michael Jackson's voice.
That's
he
right.
Had passed
That's
away
a big
at this
thing.
point. I'm like 90% sure.
Yeah, 2009 he passed.
Yeah.
This is 2010 it was recorded.
So he's still on the chorus.
Yeah, and singing with him is his sister Janet Jackson.
Right, Janet Jackson's in it.
And this was at the request of their mother, Catherine Jackson.
Which,
I assume her last name's Jackson.
Fair enough. Sounds good enough.
Yeah. Big moves. So we get new production on this by Red. Is his name Red One? Yeah. Known for his collaborations with Lady Gaga. He does it, and really all he does on this is kind of just update it. It's not like a lot of big moves are made. It's just kind of a polish.
Yeah, that's really, I mean, most of my notes are about like, this person's singing now. This is what this person, you know. Because the track arrangement is very similar.
Yeah, like even
more modern
the brass,
sounding, no?
like updated still, they like couldn't somehow eliminate that 80s tone of that brass.
I mean, if you're going to keep the brass, it's going to sound like that. But for the most part, it just sounds more 2010, you know? Even like the way the drum sounds. Like, yeah, that's what we sounded like in 2010.
That's what it sounds like in 2010. Yeah. So we should talk about for lyrics purposes, we should talk about those rap verses, which are, let me see here. Well, actually, we should also talk about the chorus, which includes the line "Nous c'est mon droit," sung by Wyclef Jean or Wyclef Jean, which means "We are the world."
Cool.
Neat. Now the chorus we talked about, but what if we talked about? I don't like the way Genius has broken this up.
Nope.
Where the fuck is the rap verse? Here we go. We all need somebody that we can lean on. When you wake up, look around and see that your dream's gone. When the earthquakes will help you make it through the storm. When the floor breaks, a magic carpet to stand on. We are the world united by love so strong. When the radio isn't on, you can hear the songs. A guided light on the dark road you're walking on. A signpost to find the dreams you thought was gone. Someone to help you move the obstacles you stumbled on. Someone to help you rebuild after the rubble's gone. We are the world connected by a common bond. Love the whole planet. Sing it along.
Yeah, I mean, once again, very, like, referential to the track, but more about just, like, we gotta help, less about some of the explicit, it's a song stuff.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It's more about you, and this is weird because it does seem to address the victims.
True.
When the earthquakes will help you make it through the storm, so it's saying we will help you, the listener.
Yeah, so the perspective does shift a bit, and references the earthquake specifically. I remember that.
Yes.
In the news.
Yeah, I do remember. Like, I remember this song being made, and
I don't remember this song happening.
I do remember it. I remember like it not being as big of a deal because it was just like, okay.
By then, it would be hard. I mean, in '85, you could do these like universal things, and in a way that you couldn't in 2010.
Yeah, when it was more impressive in '85. Like, it's getting all those. Everybody here could recorded their part individually. They actually did record it in the same studio, so they kind of did the same process, but it is easier to contact people and schedule stuff.
Apparently.
Yeah. So it's like saying we will support you even if the power fails. Like, this song is gonna help you through. That's all this fucking thing breaks down to. Let's talk about the bridge though. Everyday citizens, everybody pitching in. Nous c'est mon law, nous c'est Tamun, yo. You and I, 12 days, no water. What's your will to live? We amplified the love, we watch and multiply. Feeling like the world's end, we can make the world win. Like Katrina, Africa, Indonesia, and now Haiti needs us. They need us. They need us.
They need us.
I think it's very fucked that they mentioned like 3 causes that they didn't get together.
That they're not helping for, yeah. Although maybe they're just examples of times when people did get together. I don't know. I
guess, yeah.
Do you know what Indonesia is referencing specifically?
It's just a rough place. It's a rough part of the world. No, I'm not sure.
I'm trying to remember. The only thing I'm thinking of right now, there was a tsunami. Was that in Indonesia?
That might have been.
I can't remember the specific location.
Indonesia 2010 tsunami. The results that come up when you put in Indonesia 2010, or maybe I should put 2009 because that might be more relevant.
Earlier, but I don't
would be there's an earthquake in 2009. Yeah,
maybe that's it.
That's probably
and of course Katrina, hurricane.
Yes.
But yes, again, this is like specifically referencing events, right?
Yeah.
Like 12 days no water and stuff like that.
That's an insane line too, because it's connected to what's your will to live.
Yeah. You gonna survive that? Are you tough enough? It's like, whoa, man.
And it comes from Kanye West, from Ye on this one. It comes off very strange.
Yeah.
But I guess it's meant to sympathize. It's like, how do you feel you can go on if you've gone 12 days with no water?
And yet you did it somehow.
Yeah. We can make the world win. Like Katrina, Africa, Indonesia, and now Haiti need us. They need us. They need us. Yeah, it's a strange one.
It is, definitely.
And then we get the outro from Wyclef. Haiti, Haiti, ha 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 ha. That's him saying Haiti. Probably the real way to say Haiti, because he is.
Probably, I think it might even have a diaresis in it officially.
I don't know what that means, Alex. What symbol is that? Is that a symbol or?
It's the 2 dots, the umlaut symbol.
Over which letter?
The first I.
Okay.
It just means you pronounce. It's like a naive. You pronounce the vowels separately.
Okay, yeah, I'm seeing it over the I. What was it called?
Diaresis.
Diaresis. Interesting, Alex. Okay, so who's the highlights for vocals on this?
Celine.
Because I think we know who is the biggest highlight. Because he sounds... I assume it has to be traditional Haitian singing, but it sounds fucking insane.
Oh, yeah, that's really cool, eh? It's like... I don't even know how to describe that.
It's like almost like well, it's not quite a yodel. It's like a wail?
Almost a yodel.
It's almost a yodel. But yeah, he brings a lot of energy on this track too. So to his lines, and I think after the bridge, he kind of goes pretty buck.
Yeah.
And then he closes this out on the outro. This is really Wyclef's like song and cause this time around.
That's true. Yeah. He's kind of heading it, and he does some cool stuff on the track.
Yeah. In terms of like vocalists I could pick out, Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
Because he opens the track.
He was like really young here.
Yeah. I think my father is a Josh Groban fan. I could be wrong about that. So I did recognize Josh Groban.
Yeah, I saw Josh Groban and got him mixed up with James Blunt. He's not James Blunt.
He's not James Blunt. Who's the guy who plays with the Grateful Dead now? John Mayer. That's who I got.
Oh, John Mayer. Yeah, fair enough. I don't even know who all these are. I was interested to see Barbra Streisand.
Yeah.
Because she probably could have been in the original, but
I know it's almost weird that she's not.
Yeah. And then of course it's cool to see Tony Bennett.
It's interesting. You can tell because he's the oldest sounding dude on the track.
Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of other.
I find the vocal performances on this. Maybe it's because I'm not as familiar with a lot of these artists, but they don't stand out to me as much.
I think so too, but again, it might just be that I don't know as many of these artists.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking back, like, the artists I don't know on the original, it's like I'm not really picking them out as much. But still some of them.
Still some of them. And yeah, I'm looking at the names here. I'm like, who the fuck is Mary Mary?
I know. But I'm like, I recognized when like Lil Wayne came in, and then Akon.
Yeah, of course.
You know? And T-Pain.
Yeah, Lil Wayne, I believe, he has a quote about how he got picked to do the Bob Dylan part. And how he's like, it's a big honor. I'm like, I think they did that because you can't sing.
Possibly. He's pretty heavily auto-tuned too, though, right? That's his sound.
Yeah. He says, when I got here, I was like, what am I doing? Will I be rapping or what? Then they told me I was doing Bob Dylan's part. And I was like, you guys are real good comedians. But I approached it the best way I knew how. Did I do a better job than Bob Dylan? Hell no. But after I did his part, it hit me that this was something way more important than I could ever imagine, said Lil Wayne.
There you go.
So, yeah, it's a funny... I think having all of the rappers rap together, what did you think about that decision?
I mean, obviously, there was no room for personality if they're all just going out at the same time, you know? There's no...
Yeah, I feel like that's the crime here.
But it's the same, like, there's rap, kind of the rap chorus, and there are rap solos, you know?
Yeah.
It does kind of feel like they could have done more with that, though.
Mm-hmm.
For the personality, you know, for the sounds.
Yeah, and because, like, on that rap chorus is LL Cool J, will.i.am, Snoop Dogg, Busta Rhymes, and Swizz Beatz, of which, like, of the 5 names there, I actually do recognize all of those names, but I don't really know LL Cool J rap, because I think he's more like 80s rap.
Yeah, I don't really know LL Cool J. But, like, they would sound distinct, you know?
Yeah, they would sound, like, Snoop Dogg alone sounds very distinct.
Snoop Dogg, Busta Rhymes, like, I know what those sound like.
Yeah, I know what those sound like.
Those guys sound
I technically know what will.i.am sounds like.
True. I feel like will.i.am was kind of a weak choice for a rap solo.
Yeah, I agree as well.
But maybe that's
just me. He was kind of in the scene at that point.
True. I mean, this in 2010, Black Eyed Peas were like massive.
Yeah,
as I recall.
Huge. Yeah. Kanye West is a good choice for solo. I know he's not a great individual these days, but he's got a pretty recognizable voice.
And a pretty high profile in 2010 as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Very different profile from what it is now, though.
Yeah. But, yeah, that's kind of all my big notes on this one. I don't think it hits as hard as the original. Obviously, it's, you know, you do the same trick twice. The second time, it's not as impressive. I think it's good. It raised money for a cause. I probably have the number written down here somewhere. And this, again, like fucking Bruce Springsteen says, the song is a tool. To be used to get money for causes.
If it worked, it worked.
And it did work here. They tried to get Beyonce and Taylor Swift for this. They couldn't do it. They were busy on tours.
Yeah.
Fuck, I forgot to mention that about the original, is that Eddie Murphy was asked to be on it. And he was too busy recording Party All the Time.
Yeah. And then, is there a quote from him where he like learns what happens afterwards, and he's like, "Well, I made the wrong decision."
Yeah, he's like, if I'd have known. He says after he said, "If I realized what it was, you know," he says, "I felt like an idiot."
Yeah, but I mean, they were trying to keep it so secret, right? They didn't really know what was going on.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know how much the artist knew, so
I think they must have known it was for a cause.
I would think so, especially it's probably pro bono work, right? So
yeah. It's definitely the kind of work Bono would like, which also makes it pro bono work. We got to move forward, though, Alex. We can talk about the music video bit. There's an introduction by Jamie Foxx.
And then, like, it's kind of the same setup, right? It shows the artists. They're singing. It's more modern equipment.
Yeah, and we get a lot more shots of, by benefit of it being more modern, we get shots out of Haiti of, like, the destruction, and it is pretty gnarly.
Intercuts, more footage. The solos seem more isolated.
Yeah.
But I think it's just because they like put up like a impromptu sort of sound blocking stuff.
Yeah. The shots of the studio, even though it's the same space, are insane. Because like there's a shot with Pink where she's surrounded by like 1,000 guitars.
Seems like there's more stuff in there, eh? Like this room has just accumulated things over the last 20 odd years.
Yeah. It's so you got that. You got these people singing. Yeah, you get to see Wyclef going nuts on his.
Yeah,
part.
Jeff Bridges is there.
Jeff Bridges is there.
It's weird.
What a strange choice. Yeah, looking at those chorus shots is insane.
Vince Vaughn is there. It's
Vince
weirder.
Vaughn is there. It's weirder. Celine Dion is there. That at least makes sense. But
it's all very strange.
Similar to the original. What's interesting about this version as well is they do have
Colin
specific.
Farrell
He could be.
Nope. That's oh no, never mind. Nope. It's what's his name? Blurred Lines.
Oh, okay. What I was going to say though is they do actually bring on instrumentalists for this one because Carlos Santana, not a singer,
Robin
is that
Thicke.
Correct? Robin Thicke.
Anyway, sorry. Carlos Santana's around?
Yeah, he's around, and I don't think he sings, does he?
I didn't even notice him in the video.
Yeah, he's listed on this list that I found, though.
Yeah, he typically doesn't sing, so
they had that, and they had some Australian guitars, and there is more guitar in this version. That is something we should mention. So it was kind of interesting to see that approach for we can bring on more than just vocalists. We could layer in some guitar solos.
Though they don't do it a ton, right? Like there's not much personality in the solos either.
It is kind of like you can figure out why they didn't do it in the original. Once you hear those parts, you're like, I don't know whose guitar that was. Doesn't sound like Black Magic Woman. How the fuck?
Yeah, and it's not a song that's really set up for soloing, right? Like it's a vocal thing.
No.
So
that's this version. Over 75 musicians involved.
That was a big one.
It's a big one.
Even bigger.
Even bigger. But let's go even smaller with Ellie Bruno and Walter Ricci in 2015.
We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones who make a brighter day. So let's start giving. Cause there's a choice.
Yeah, we're back to jazz.
Back to jazz. Yeah, I'm going to say first thing, Richard Cheese really set these guys up to fail. Because
this is a lot of fun. Although what's interesting about this one, and I'll go back into who the artists are in a second, but it's actually very similar structurally and in terms of the arrangement to Richard Cheese, but slower. Like they're doing the same thing kind of with the piano and the drums, So interesting, but of course they have a bit of it's a duet now because there's two of them. Well, maybe not obviously, but it is. So Ellie Bruno,
who I've talked about previously on Barbie Girl.
Barbie Girl,
you were not here for.
I was not here for. Singer, lyricist.
She's got Mexican heritage.
Yeah.
Think about that.
I just copied this.
Singer, lyricist. What else do you got?
Latin, new jazz, bossa nova, Mexico in my veins, USA in my heart emoji, nature in my soul.
That's right, because I wrote down U.S. based but Mexican soul, but it's nature in her soul.
Yeah,
Mexico in her veins. Got it. And Walter Ricci's Italian
jazz
or
artist.
Specifically
Naples.
Napolitan. He's from what do they call that place? Neapolitan
Naples.
Ice cream. Naples. Neapolitan is what he is.
Yeah. Because there's 3 flavors.
Napoli is what it should be called, but we all call it Naples.
Yeah.
Which is a fun way of saying nipples. He's the class of 1989. So like you said, this is the slowed down version of the Richard Cheese version.
Yeah, for the most part, For
the most part.
Same kind of sound. And then but it's like, it's 2 voices, they trade off, and then they harmonize.
Yeah.
He's got a bit of a Michael Bublé sound to him. I know, jazz vocalist,
Absolutely.
right? But the vocal processing is what I mean. There's a similar thing going on. Reminds me of Michael Bublé.
Yeah, that processing on a guy who's pretending to be a crooner.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he sounds like this guy sounds like he could put out a Christmas record.
Oh, absolutely. Italiano style. I don't know what that means.
Ellie's a pretty solid singer. She does all right.
Yeah. I mean, they both do a decent job.
But this doesn't, it's lacking that novelty element that every other version so far has had.
Yeah, it's mostly a trade-off between them. It seems like if they were dancing together or something, there's a visual component to be a little more excited.
Yeah. Which you think there might be. This album's called Synesthesia.
Synesthesia. Interesting.
Which is like when your senses get crossed over, some people experience this.
Right.
So they can like hear color or taste music or
associate colors with musical notes
moods
or something
or
like
stuff or like musical notes. Yeah, it's super interesting stuff. It was one of the superpowers of one of the heroes on like season 3 of Heroes was just synesthesia.
Oh yeah, not a lot came of that though.
No.
I think they just kind of disappeared. They could also because they could see sound, but then they could use it to destroy things, and then I think they disappeared.
Yeah, because they were like deaf too, was the weird thing. That has nothing to do with this.
Let's not get too far off topic. We're already over time.
Well, tune into our Heroes podcast the next day.
Perfect.
Now, this version, like I said, kind of you lack that novelty, and I think it highlights how boring the song is without novelty to latch onto.
I see. I mean, I guess in terms of jazz elements, they obviously, like I said, they trade off vocals. There's like some solos as well, or like a muted trumpet solo. 240 is my timestamp.
Yeah, that's a good thing to have.
Or at the end of the bridge, they kind of do a little bridge. Throw a little solo in, and then, lots of jazz things.
Yeah, and like you said, it's similar to the Richard Cheese arrangement, which Richard Cheese is just trying to convey lounge in as few steps as possible, right? So the fact that it's crossing over with Ellie and Walter here is not necessarily praise to Ellie and Walter. If anything, it's like you guys have dipped into every single cliche that Richard Cheese was
he's
able to
on purpose doing
us.
The cliche because he's trying to do very broad lounge.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just making lounge music, lounge jazz that is broad.
Yeah. And I think that is what happens here, is it feels very broad. It doesn't feel like much of anything.
Yeah. I tend to agree.
Well, I tend to think that we've been going pretty long on this episode, so we should get into our final verdicts.
Let's get out of here.
We got 3 categories today: the worst version, the best version, and the version that, if you were granted a time machine, which recording do you think you could most easily sneak yourself into?
Easy answer.
Alex, what's the worst version of this?
What's the worst version of this? I mean, there's 2 that I would say I was not a fan of that didn't do much for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm gonna go with Marc Reift Orchestra, mostly because, I mean, we talked about the energy of it, and it's kind of lacking in that, and you really need that for an instrumental version. It just doesn't have, and it has the melody, but that's pretty much it. And there's some things that could have been better in it, We talked about, more personality in the instruments. The performances, are a bit lacking in that, and I think that could have been better. It's one of those ones where it's like, decent idea, but execution was questionable, and
you can tell that they could do it. Like the way the instruments sound is pretty good, but like what they do with it is not enough.
Yeah, so it loses some points for that, and so I'm going to say put in the bottom spot for being disappointing in that way.
There you go. That's fair. It's always good to put a disappointing one down.
Yeah.
You're not mad. You're just disappointed.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to give it to Ellie Bruno and Walter Ricci. I don't even think it's their own fault this time. I do think having the playlist set the way it did, Richard Cheese kind of set them up for a fall. I also don't think they're the greatest fucking musicians. I think they're fine. They're pulling their weight here. It's a working man's job. They clocked in, they clocked out. They got the job done. It's just, it's broad. It's not all that interesting compared to any of these other versions. I do think it's the worst for that. Alex, though, what is the best version?
What's the best version?
What's the best version?
That's a weird question.
Yeah, you know what? We dodged saying any of the charitable versions of this song were the worst, so we're doing good so far.
Yeah, we're doing good so far. I mean, the original, obviously, because it's the only one that exists as itself. But in terms of as a cover, I think I'm going to give it to Richard Cheese, because it's like the one that is fun with it and also quick in and out. I think that's where I have to give it, or who I have to give it to, just because of that. Because it's a bit of a questionable song that doesn't necessarily make that much sense outside of its own context, which is like as a charity song.
Yeah, it's like the question of covering this song. There's only one group who really should have covered this, and that was Artists for Haiti.
Yeah.
Or 25 for Haiti. Like, it makes sense. It's by the same organization. when you fucking know, when you got a nail that needs to be nailed, you get the hammer out. And when you got a charitable cause that needs to be charity, you get We Are the World out. And so that's why 20 out of 5 for Haiti makes sense. But in terms of like most enjoyable to listen to and like, yeah, it's Richard Cheese. Like, it's fun. It even just tells you like context of the original song. It's silly. It's not too much of a downer on the original. It makes some light jokes. He plays the song. I think it is like the best version for what we got here. It's a very difficult category. It's a very difficult song.
Difficult song to cover.
But Alex, you're able to fucking time shift to any time of the recordings of any one of these versions. Which one do you think you could sneak your vocals, or in the case of the Marc Reift Orchestra, an instrument onto?
I think there's an easy answer to this. And I think I'm going to take the easy out this time. And it's the punk rock version, the Hukedicht, however you say that.
Hukedicht. And
Teenage Kings. Because, like, I feel like anyone could be in that studio. If you had a beer and maybe a cigarette and, like, a band t-shirt, they would accept you.
Yeah. You are running on a time limit of, like, as soon as somebody starts talking to you, you're fucked, though. Because
they're Swiss?
Yeah. So if they start fucking hitting you with Swiss, you're just like,
yeah.
And they keep pestering you. Eventually they're gonna be like, I don't know if this guy should be here. But you are right in terms of like appearance and like skill, like bar of entry for skill. Yeah, I think that might be a solid pick. I was thinking maybe Marc Reift, I might be able to sneak in with like a triangle, and if I'm just off to the side and I'm dressed nice enough, if there's enough people there, like I can probably just I can ding one in. And as my cutting burn, I would say 25 for Haiti, because they were just letting anyone
There's so many people there.
There's so many people
Vince
in there.
Vaughn
I'm sure I could squeeze in. Vince Vaughn was there. They're not going to let me in.
You walk in and they'll be like, oh, Johnny Depp. We didn't know.
We didn't know. I just got to do a believable enough Captain Jack.
Yeah,
and
it was 2010. Could have happened.
2010. So yeah, I'm going to lock it in with Artists for Haiti. That does it for our final verdicts. If you got different opinions, similar opinions, want to talk to us about a version we didn't talk about, hit us up on the app, formerly known as Twitter, #CoverMePod, @SnakeyMe, and @SomeAlexWiseGuy. You can also send your comments, questions, and concerns to our email address, covermepod@gmail.com. Talk to us there. Be sure to rate and review us. We are on all the apps. Pick one. Pocket Casts, Podurama, YouTube Music. The other ones, I'm getting like ads from like YouTube Music scammers being like, bro, you've got 250 videos and like 50 views. We got to help you get those ratings up. I'm like, no, we don't. Don't worry about it. But get on the apps, follow us there, tell your friends, family, neighbors, loved ones about us. What you can do this week for us to really get the word out there is just tell your friends, family, and loved ones. I thought I had something for this. I had cooked up something beforehand, and I forgot what it was. It was maybe like, I don't know, donate money to us. You know what? Yeah, you want to really get the word out there? Donate your money to covermepod@gmail.com. Send us your e-transfers, and I'll put all of that into Google ad marketing or whatever. That's my non-ironic guarantee, because I know nobody's going to send us a single fucking cent. All right. That does it for today's episode of Cover Me. And as we always say on Cover Me, and the truth, Cover Me is all we need.